Suspended fluidity transitions. Basic sit to straddle to sit. Start in a seated position. Bring your hands so that they are just above your hip bones or around your ribs. And slowly squeeze your glutes, trying to press your butt to the other side of the fabric. Once you do that, your torso is on one side, your legs are on the other, and you can tip back into a straddle. Here's your first option for coming back. You bring your toes up toward the ceiling, squeeze your glutes again while your body's in kind of a boat pose, and rock to seated. So once again, hand side low. Don't put your head through and forward. You want to lean back a little bit and kind of maintain this plank pose. Squeeze your glutes. You can use your hands to press into the fabric so that you open your legs into that straddle position. Reach your hands up, toes up to the ceiling, kind of a boat pose, squeeze those glutes, and you can come back to seated. Great. If it's difficult to return to seated, you can also kind of shift your hips, one hip up at a time, side to side, to get back to seated. So here we are, right hand holding onto the fabric, just kind of going into a side Superman position, dropping that right toe down toward the floor, sliding the right hand down. As the leg is dropping down, the hip is shifting off. So then you can fan kick into your straddle. I'm going to try to reverse this motion coming up. So bringing that left leg over to the right side so the hips stack and shift so that you can bring the fabric underneath your hamstrings and sit up. Let's do this again. So right hand is going to stay nice and high, rotating into that side Superman facing to the left, dropping the toes down to the floor, especially the top leg, which is in this case your right leg. Right toe down to the floor. Notice that if you lift that left leg back, it's going to be difficult. Drop that one down too. Slide hands down and rotate. Your hands may be doing a little bit of a push-pull help on the fabric as well during that. So now to come back up, it's kind of reversing this idea, stacking one hip on top of the other. This case, it's left on top of right, so that your hips really shift off and you come back to seated. This next way is an easy one to use if you have pull-up strength. So your hands are going to reach right around your head. You will pull down on the fabric and you will open your legs to straddle. You've got airspace between your back and the bottom of the loop, and then you slide down. Voila, straddle. Going to use that first transition from straddle to seated to get back, and we're going to show this again. Hands nice and high, pulling down. I really want to get my hips up toward my wrists in my inversion. Now this time crochet, can't see my toes, but slide down and open to straddle. Using that booty squeeze, rock to seated one last time. And now coming up, we have a little scissor fan kick action. Both hands are going to hold on to either side fabric. You're going to lean back. Your left leg is going to cross over top, right leg down and behind to a little scissor. And then you're going to fan those legs up and over. We didn't quite make it, so now we're going to do right leg over. And what happened is it shifted our hips further off of the fabric so that we could find that nice perfect straddle. Fun spin, kind of the reverse idea, a little mini shift, kind of like a mermaid. So you could take this in mermaid, or you could do the little windshield wiper fan kick again to seated. It's basically a gradual shift of your hips from the place where you start to the place where you want to end up. Let's do one last transition from seated to straddle. Lean back, push your right leg over left side fabric. So the opposite side, you can hook your knee and then push your hips to the back side and then unhook the knee, open to straddle. To come back to seated, we're going to do a single leg bird's nest. It's like a little baby bird's nest. So your right leg is putting pressure from outside right fabric. Your left knee comes between the poles and you push your hips forward enough that you get your hips on the side with your torso and you can rock up to seated. Okay, again. So here we are seated. Hands holding on. We're going to bring our left leg this time. We're coming between the poles, Put pressure on that right side fabric and hook. As you do so, your left hand is pulling down on the fabric to create some space and let you shift that hip to the side with the legs so that you find the fabric around your waist above your hip bones to come up. Here we go. We're doing right foot again, pressing outside fabric. Hold on nice and tight. Bend your left knee, bring it through the poles. As you bring it through, you're going to scoot your booty and keep the knee bent if you want to sink down into your knees, or if you really pull up, you can come straight up to seated. I wanted to show with more of an arch and bird's nest, so I got lazy and put my feet down. Here's the straddle. Hands going up to either side fabric. We're going right leg out again. Now push, 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 hips forward, arch, 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 arch. See how that knee's bent? So you can really sink down into those knee pits. Extend the legs, press into the fabric, arch up, come to seated. Giving it all the life you can. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jen, Suspended Fluidity.